Are you in sales of any kind and you're just having an incredibly difficult time converting sales, closing deals, and making good money with your selling opportunity? Well, in this video, I'm going to go through my tips and my advice from a top producer, a top 1% salesperson in my industry on how you can close more sales and become a better salesperson. This video is sponsored by none other than Lead Heroes, you guys. Lead Heroes has got you covered when it comes to telemarketed leads and virtual staffing. On the lead side, whether it be Medicare supplement leads, final expense leads, turning 65 leads, they just got something for everybody. They can also actually have you plug in with one of their virtual staff members on the staffing side to where you can pay by the hour for one of their trained and very well vetted staff members to help you out in your business in a virtual assistant format. Just because you watch this video, they're going to give you 10% off any order you make on their website. Link to the site can be found down in the description, so go ahead and check them out. The holy grail of sales, okay? So selling is incredibly important in today's day and age. Now, you're seeing less and less face-to-face sales being made in our day and age today, okay? So you're seeing more people transacting business over the phone, online, things like that, but it doesn't mean there's not still a place in our world and our day and age today for sales, okay? So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what you need to do, what you need to focus on in order to make more sales and be a more effective salesperson out in the field, okay? So the first thing that you're going to want to make sure that you keep up on is when you're first learning to sell a new product or service, right? I don't care if it's insurance, I don't care if it's alarm systems, I don't care if it's real estate, it doesn't really matter what it is particularly. You must know your product through and through, inside and out. I find that this is incredibly important because people are not going to want to buy from somebody that they feel is shaky on their knowledge and they don't know if they can trust them or not. This is key. I can tell you how many times I have actually encountered a salesperson and I would ask them a question and their answer was just so shaky, right? Have you ever had that experience before? You're interested in buying something, you ask a question and they're just so shaky, they're not confident, they don't really feel like they know what that is that you're asking, or maybe they don't know the answer, or maybe they give you an answer that just sounds half-hearted. It doesn't breed confidence in your mind as the purchaser, okay? Knowing your product, making sure that you study it, making sure that you know it through and through is going to dramatically increase your sales. How can you sell something effectively that you don't understand yourself, right? You must make sure that you know your product. If it's a product that you can use your product, right? Be a consumer of your product, right? It's hard to actually not know something that you're actually using on a consistent basis, okay? So if you're selling cars, buy that car, drive that car. You'll know that car inside and out. If you're selling insurance, study the policies, study the exclusions, study the benefits. Make sure that you know what it is you're selling, and you're going to find yourself much, much easier in terms of being able to communicate what you need to communicate to people when they're asking the questions, and you're going to be able to give them the appropriate and the right answers. Okay, so know your product through and through. This is key. Number 2, cut your teeth. What does this mean, cut your teeth? Well, when you're selling a new product, or maybe you're new to sales in general, one thing that's very, very real is it takes a lot of experience to be good at it, right? Sales is very much a conversational game, right? It's a personality game, it's a communication game, it's being able to communicate effectively between one human being to another in order to actually get them to agree to make a sale with you, to actually buy something from you, okay? So cut your teeth. Cutting your teeth, to me, means practice. So that means lots of phone calls, lots of presentations, lots of practice is going to be key. Reps, same thing as practice, right? When you're at the gym and you're working out and you're trying to get strong, right? You're trying to build your muscle up. One thing, what do they tell you at the gym? Well, you have to do tons of reps. Consistent reps over a long period of time, and your muscles start to grow and you start to get stronger, and the reps are less and less difficult as you go. Same goes with sales. So if it's a sales opportunity that you're not necessarily confident in, doing it over and over again is going to make you more and more confident. It's going to seem less and less difficult, and you're going to have more and more success because you're getting better over time. Practice makes perfect. And that reigns true in sales as much as anything else. And then experience over a long period of time. you're going to run into situations over the course of having experience that are going to be mundane, right? They're also going to be potentially meticulous. They're also going to run into experiences that you run into over and over again. You're also going to run into experiences that aren't necessarily complex. And a normal person might not know how to handle these typical experiences or these objections or whatever the case might be. But you doing this for a long period of time, the more you're going to run into that, and you're going to be like, I ran into this before. I know what to do. I remember back a year ago when I ran into the same situation, this is how I handled it. I know how to handle it now, okay? So practice, reps, experience, cut your teeth. And this is actually probably the best thing you can do as a salesperson. One thing I always tell new agents is, one thing you should do if you're an insurance agent, right? Because I train insurance agents all over the country. One thing you should do if you're brand new, you have no experience, you just got your license, you have no sales experience. It's not a bad idea to spend a couple of months, maybe even cold calling. Not because it's effective, not because it's efficient, not because it's a great way to make money, but because you're going to cut your teeth. One thing I always tell people is when I started out as a new agent at the age of 20, for my first 3 years, I did nothing but cold call. Now, did I do that too long? Yes, I did. I didn't know any better. But what that did for me is it turned me into an absolute ninja on the phone, okay? So because I was able to go through these experiences, and trust me, cold calling is the most brutal types of sales that you're actually ever going to do. Having that experience and getting those reps under your belt is going to be what's going to make the difference over a long period of time. You're not going to be great right away. You're not going to be great overnight. But over time and through experience, you're going to be great. Now, the experience is good, the practice is good, but if you don't know some of these other things, it's not going to matter. It's not going to have any bearing whatsoever because you could do it wrong for 10 years and you could do things ineffectively for 10 years or you could mess up the way you're saying things for 10 years and you're just going to have mediocre sales over the course of 10 years as well. So reps are important, but doing things the right way matters too. So that we're going to move on to these other things because practice by itself is not all that you need. The second thing that you need to get down is you need to have your tones in order. What do I mean by my tones? Well, verbal communication, right, is the most important sign of communication that we have with a person. Now, there's other types of communication you have as well. There's body language, right? There's how you communicate with your body language, right? With your hand gestures, with how you move your body, how you use your body, right, to communicate with somebody, right? If I'm doing this and I'm doing a sales presentation for you, you're going to think I'm absolutely wacky. And you know this, right? So the way that you use your body and your body language is communication. Eye contact is a form of communication. Smiling, facial expressions is a form of communication. But verbal is probably the most important form of communication, especially if you're doing telesales, right? Because all of that other communication goes out the window. So when it comes to telesales, or sales in general, it can be face-to-face or telesales, it is vitally important that you master your tonalities. Jordan Belfort talks a lot about tonalities, and that's actually where I learned about tonalities and how I could actually implement it into my sales and into my business, okay? So with your tones, you have to enunciate words properly. So, hi, Mrs. Johnson. This is Christian. See what I did there? I'm starting out excited, right? I'm going to be like, hey there, Mrs. Johnson. This is Christian, right? I'm putting my tonality up so they feel the enthusiasm of me wanting to talk to them, how enthusiastic I am to actually speak to them, and then I'm bringing it back down calm, be like, this is Christian. I'm getting back to you on a request that you put in via blah, 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 right? Master your tonalities. Make sure that you use them properly. You don't want it to be like, ooh, either, but there's a right way and a wrong way to do this, but mastering your tones, and also I think that goes hand in hand with your confidence. People are going to feel your confidence when you're communicating. If you lack confidence, if you lack belief in yourself and your abilities to communicate this information to the customer, they're going to feel that. And it's going to come through in your tones. You need to make sure that you're confident. You need to make sure that you're owning it. And you need to make sure that they know that you're the baddest mofo, you're the baddest guy or gal in your industry that's doing what you're particularly doing. And you need to feel that way. You need to carry yourself a certain way. Confidence tonalities are incredibly important when it comes to making more sales. The next thing is identify proper keywords. Okay, so this is a big one. It's not about what you say, it's how you say it. And there's certain words that you just should not be making in sales, in my opinion, right? So I'll give you some examples. instead of course, you should never use swear words with your clients or anything like that. That's an obvious one. But there's certain little things that you might actually not quite think about, and it just might pop out when you're making a sale, right? So I actually had an agent in my office recently. I overheard her talking on the phone and talking to a lead, and she said, "Our agency sells X, Y, and Z." So I pulled her over to the side and I said, "Don't do that." So what's wrong with using the word sell or sale, right? We sell this, or we're trying to sell you this, or we actually want to sell this to you. Well, people have been programmed throughout their entire life in our day and age in our society to avoid being sold. People don't want to be sold. There's a negative connotation with them being sold. They almost relate it to that they're being taken advantage of, that someone is actually working them over. Never use the word sell or sold. Say we offer, right? So instead of saying we sell this vacuum cleaner, say we offer a litany of vacuum cleaners. Doesn't that just sound much better? It's not about what you say, it's how you say it. Another one that I'll give you is, instead of saying, "I need a signature from you, Mr. Johnson," say, "I need an autograph from you. Please autograph here, Mr. Johnson." People have also been programmed throughout their lives that they shouldn't sign anything, right? Don't sign into agreement. Don't sign a contract, because then you might not be able to get out of it. Don't sign anything. It might be just small, subtle things that you adjust in your approach that might make a difference, and people might not even notice it. People psychologically don't even notice that they react in a negative way to a certain keyword that you're using, right? So instead of saying, "Sign here," say, "May I get your autograph here?" Right? Another one that I would say is, instead of using the term, "We need to do a contract," say, "We need to do some paperwork to finalize this." See how much lighter and less threatening words like that can come across as. So make sure that you're using your keywords, right? Identify keywords, look through yourself, actually record your sales presentation a couple of times over, and go through and listen to the types of keywords that you're using over the course of the presentation, and try to pick out words that might have made your potential client or customer uncomfortable. And what are some synonyms that you can replace those words with and make it just sound a little bit softer, a little bit lighter, even if you're not changing your message and saying the exact same thing. It's not about what you say, it's how you say it. Identify your keywords. The other thing is less is more. So there are people out there in the sales industry that they will try to plan out their entire sale from point A to point Z. And I don't believe that's particularly realistic. When you're making a sale, right, people always like to use the word script. And I think scripts are important. I think scripts are valuable. But to me, a script is really important in the first 60 seconds of your sale or your phone call or your appointment. Because the script, to me, is designed to open the door. It's designed to get you to a place where they're going to let you talk to them and let you make a presentation. That's the purpose of the script. But you can't script an entire appointment. You can't script an entire 30 to 45 minute presentation or face-to-face interaction. You're going to sound incredibly robotic, unhuman, and not relatable to your potential client or customer. So sometimes less is more. I'm of the opinion that you should have a very detailed and disciplined script to get you in the door or to get them willing to listen to you. But then from there, it's just two people having a genuine conversation, right? And I think that's going to come across more authentic. As I mentioned a second ago, it's going to come across more relatable. And I feel like people are going to be willing to trust you more. People don't like to do business with somebody that just comes across as incredibly robotic and they're just reciting lines and you can just tell they're trying to think of what's next to say. It's a conversation. Your sales appointment, your sales call is a conversation. The script doesn't need to last from point A to point Z. Less is more. Next on the list, education trumps peer pressure. I've always said that if you are in a position that you have to peer pressure someone to buy your product, you have to literally push them to buy your product, there's one of two possibilities. Number one, your presentation was lousy and they didn't understand or they didn't follow or you didn't build the value properly in the product or service you're offering. Or number two, you're selling a lousy product. Point blank. If you're selling something that nobody needs, nobody should want, it's a bad investment, then you're going to have to push a lot of people into it, right? There's a reason why car dealerships have such high pressure sales tactics to get you to buy all these freaking extended warranties and everything like that, because they're a ripoff and they're basically borderline a scam, and they know that, so they know they have to push you into it and confuse you and get you to not understand. If you're wanting to make a lot of sales, not have chargebacks, not have potential cancellations, understand this: education supersedes pure pressure. Take your presentation, take your sales approach with the intent to educate your client or your customer on why they want your product or service. Not that you're trying to force them or pressure them into your product or service. Especially if you're doing something like insurance, because insurance is really a subscription-based service, especially Medicare, health insurance. You want to keep that business for a long period of time. You don't want to keep them just for a couple of months and then they decide they didn't want it anyway, but you pushed them into it, but they're going to change it later, right? Don't take the approach of pure pressure. It's working less and less these days, and people are starting to see through it. I know that, there's movies like The Wolf of Wall Street, Glengarry Glen Ross. They're fantastic, iconic sales movies. However, that's not the real world of sales. The real world of sales is people do business with people they feel comfortable with, that educate them, that help them understand and see why they need something. Now, it's not okay to try to close a sale. It's okay to try to move it in the proper direction. It's okay to actually move in for a close and ask for the sale. But if you're to the point where you're actually pure pressuring them and you're right in their face and you're trying to get them to sign right here, that just isn't a recipe for success as far as I'm concerned. And this comes from a top salesperson in my industry, okay? Last, continue to learn. Sales is an art form. It's the art of communication, like I said at the beginning of this video. Continue to learn. You've never learned everything. Make sure that you're continuing to read books, listening to videos, listening to audio programs, things like that, and continuously look for things that you can take from someone that might know something that you don't. You can implement it into your process, and that's how your sales approach and your sales strategy is always going to continue to grow. You're going to continue to learn more, and you're going to continuously grow into a more and more dynamic salesperson over time. Anyway, guys, if you found this video helpful, please do me a favor, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It helps so many more people that are struggling with their sales approach right now find this video, who need to find it, who need our help. If you found this video helpful, do that for them. Comment down below. Do you agree with my tactics? Do you agree with my suggestions? Do you disagree? I'd love to have a dialogue with you about it. Make sure to hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. We talk about insurance, we talk about sales, we talk about business, we talk about marketing on this channel. So we'd love to have you following and make sure that you're part of the notification squad. And until next time, guys, thanks so much for watching. Here's to your success and your abundance. Go make lots of sales, and I'll see you at the top. Thanks, guys.